Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So I don't know what event this actually occurred at. I would imagine it was a top ranked event this past weekend. But Tim Bradley and Brian Norman Sr. almost came to blows. Now, we know that Tim Bradley has a history of biased commentary towards a lot of fighters. It's not just one in particular, but it's any fighter related to PBC or any fighter external to Top Rank in ESPN. He's 100% a company man. But there's been some times where Brian Norman Sr. felt that Tim Bradley has not been complimentary to his son and has talked about his son in a way that Brian Norman Sr. did not like. And so apparently he decided to confront Tim Bradley at this event, and it looked like they were close to coming to blows. Now, I'm going to play this video clip that I found on social media here quickly, and then we're going to come back and react to it. So let me find my window here. Yep, so that was the video there from for Tim Bradley and his interaction with Brian Norman Sr. As you can see, Brian Norman Jr. was actually seated initially and then stood up and walked over there to see what was going on. I did not realize Brian Norman Sr. was so big. Man, he looked jacked in there. But I don't know if Brian Norman Sr. has ever boxed before, so I don't know, what kind of fight that would have been. But I did want to react to it. So shout out to Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Sr. They are natives of Atlanta. I've been trying to figure out a way that I can catch up with them. I know they tied into Tay Jones, and I do have a connection with Tay. So maybe one of these days I'll be able to get Brian Norman Jr. on our show. But it was an interesting situation there. Tim Bradley, as I said before, is known for being biased. Now, of course, we all have our biases. I've been accused of being biased before, biased towards Errol Spence against Terrence Crawford. And sometimes people think that you're biased, but in reality, you're not. Sometimes you can say a lot of positive things, and people will feel like all you say are negative things because all they hear is the negative stuff. But in this particular situation, I do feel like Tim Bradley has been biased towards, certain fighters. And I get what Brian Norman Sr. is saying in regards to what Tim Bradley is doing. Because I saw that in his last fight against, what's the gentleman's name? Santillan, I believe his name is. And then I've also seen that in past Brian Norman Jr. fights where it didn't feel like the commentary from ESPN was good. And I know a lot of people have complained about ESPN bias. I personally, sometimes I even turn the volume down because I don't really want to hear the bias and what they're saying in regards to some of the fighters that they're covering and trying to hype. But my thing is, Brian Norman Sr. for he can call him out for whatever he wants to call him out for. You know what I mean? Like, we get called out. When you have an opinion, you give your opinion. You're going to get called out. Brian Norman Sr. is well within his right to call out Tim Bradley. And I don't know what the conversation was when he stepped to Tim Bradley. Tim seemed to be the one that was more so aggressive, and I couldn't make out exactly what he said. I don't know if he was saying, what are you going to do, or what'd you do? I don't know. So I don't know exactly what they were talking about. But it did look like, physicality was on its way. And for me, I don't think you should approach anybody in that manner in terms of with the expectation of being physical. And I don't know. I'm not saying that's what Brian Norman Sr. was actually doing. I'm just stating that people are gonna have their opinion, and some are gonna be positive and some are gonna be negative. And in my opinion, Brian Norman Sr. shouldn't worry about, the naysayers in regards to Brian Norman Jr. He just won the WBO title. And I just feel like, or the interim title, I believe it's either the interim title or the actual title. I can't quite recall now. These guys do so many interesting things with their titles these days. But Brian Norman Jr. is in a great position to prove everybody wrong, or all doubters wrong, who doubts his skills and his ability at 147 pounds. So for me personally, I just don't feel that, if he wants to step to Tim Bradley and get a better understanding of what it is that Tim Bradley is saying and try to come to some understanding in regards to what Tim Bradley says about his son, then that's perfectly fine. That's no issue. I have no issue if I'm out in public, somebody wants to, come up to me and have a real conversation about some of the comments that I've made on this channel. I have absolutely no problem with that whatsoever, because I'll explain what it is that I said and the logic and the rationale behind what I say. But like the thought of like it escalating to a point where there's a fight, it shouldn't be that, because all it is words. And any fighter can prove what someone is saying to be false in the ring, period. Just like Devin Haney or Gervonta Davis or Shakur Stevenson, whoever says anything negative or positive about it, either a fighter can get in the ring and confirm the positive things that have been said about them, or they can get in the ring and confirm the negative things that have been said about them. Either way, it's going to all come out. It's going to all come to what they do in the ring. So, Brian Norman Sr. is in a great position. Man, I should reach out and see if I can get him on the show and try to get a better understanding of what went on there. But personally, Brian Norman, I'm looking forward to seeing him in his next fight and seeing what he does. He should disregard Tim Bradley and the things that Tim Bradley says, and it'll be interesting to see what Tim Bradley has to say next time he's on a fight card. If Brian Norman, because Brian Norman mentioned something about Top Rank wanting to cut him or something like that. Man, I really need to try to get him on this show, man, for real. But anyway, Brian Norman, it'll be interesting to see what Tim Bradley has to say about Brian Norman the next time he's on ESPN, if he's on ESPN again, and under Top Rank's banner. But man, Brian, just do your thing, bro. And it's going to all end up working out at the end of the day. You're going to be able to prove the naysayers wrong in regards to whatever they have to say about you. So keep pushing, fam. So those are my thoughts on that. I thought it was interesting. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you guys think that fighters or any kind of people in sports should be able to step to someone that's, I don't want to call myself media, but anyone that has a platform that's giving their opinion, step to them, but step to them in the, the right way, not in the way where you want to fight or anything like that, but step to them and get some better understanding. I think so. I think that's perfectly fine, but not stepping to come to blows, because none of this stuff is that serious. And to be honest with you, anytime anyone's talking about you, as far as I'm concerned, you guys know my motto is good for you. So let me know what you think. Don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, on Sports Media, and I am out.